Let's talk about AI Max, which is a relatively new setting in the Google Ad Grant, or indeed in Google Ads as a whole. Um, it performs several functions. It can put your ads into what are called AI overviews in Google search results. It can also open up your keywords to like a broader than broad match so that they can show for more searches. It can also enable you to promote more than just one landing page at a time and open it up so that Google can show ads for other pages more easily. It's search campaigns only. Some of the same functionality is built into Performance Max, but in Performance Max you don't have to switch it on. So we're just going to look at a search campaign for now. I'm going to pick a campaign that over the last 6 months on this account has had the most spend. So it spent almost $100,000. This organization is a charity for pregnancy advice. So I'll click here and I'll show the settings. So if I go to the campaign settings, there's a cog icon at the top here. In the settings, as you scroll down, you see this, AI Max for search campaigns. I'll go through the options. First of all, whether you want it on or off entirely. So I can turn the entire thing off. I switch this on in most Google Ad Grants accounts. I tend to not use it in a paid Google Ads account because in a paid account I want to be quite specific, quite fussy about which keywords and which search terms I actually want. But in an ad grant I can be looser. I want to use that full budget. I want to open it up and see how well our AI Max works. And I do know that I can come back and see if it was a good idea later. What you're doing here is putting us into AI overviews. An AI overview is available in some countries, more than others. It's when you type something into Google and instead of immediately seeing just a list of search results, the first thing you see is a paragraph, usually a short paragraph or two, giving you some basic information without you having to actually click and visit a website. Now the ads can now appear in that area, including in an ad grant. And that's a very good idea to do that. The other thing it's doing here is allowing a broader kind of keyword matching, which may or may not be a good idea. And that's the thing where we need to check later if it's a good idea or not. And then we've got final URL expansion. And as it says here, you'll send traffic to the most relevant URLs on your website when it's likely to result in better performance. Each ad that we have in each ad group has one URL that we have defined. It's called the final URL, and that's where we take people to the landing page. When you tick final URL expansion, you give Google permission to send people to different landing pages, and that may or may not be a good idea. If your website has got a load of blog content and it wouldn't be helpful to send people there, there's no action for people to take when they arrive, maybe it's not a good idea. Maybe your landing page is well crafted to funnel people towards a particular objective, to taking a particular goal and getting a conversion. Then you don't want to open up final URL expansion. But on this website, it's probably a good idea. This is more about information and awareness, and we have hundreds of articles on the website about different aspects of pregnancies and baby care. Opening this up potentially means we don't have to create dozens of different ad groups. After you've done this, at the ad level, you can actually specify that you only want specific URLs. You can set some rules for this. At the campaign level, you can only set exclusions. So after doing this, you can exercise a bit more control. You might say, I only want Google to show pages in this section of the website, for example. And the option here above, text customization, simply means that if you are doing the final URL expansion, that Google can update your headlines and your descriptions and images and so on to match the page it's sending people to. So the two kind of go together. And then we hit a little bit of a block because currently in Google Ads there is no way to tell if ads are appearing in AI overviews, tick the box. We hope it's being shown, but we don't actually know. And currently there is just no way to find out. There's no report that will tell you. But what we can find out is this broader keyword matching. So if we go to the Insights and Reports section on the menu and search terms, and we select a specific campaign, if we haven't already done so. So I will select the search campaign. We can apply a filter. Now I've already done it. It's shown here. The filter I've added is match type AI Max. I'll remove it and I'll put it back on from scratch so you can see how it works. When you put a filter on, you have a number of different categories. You can hunt around until you find the one you want, and it's this one, match type, in the attributes section. But this is kind of clunky. If you happen to know the name of the thing you want to filter on, you can just start typing it. So match, there we go, and it appears. It's the only option. Match type. And this, by the way, is how you would find out whether on your account broad match works for you well or exact match works better. But here, we just want to choose AI Max. Always sort by impressions first, because then you find what was the highest number of searches for a specific term. And in this case, it's the words pelvic floor exercises, with anemia symptoms coming second. And we get a lot of data, as you'd expect, different columns. You can find out the click-through rate, the number of conversions, and so on. And you can choose a number of rows. Now, I point this out because there were actually 8,577 different search terms recorded over 6 months. You really only have to look at the top ones. And if you want to maybe do it by cost, so sort by cost, and then you see what's spent the most. Because if it's not useful, well, then you can do this. You can add something as a negative keyword. The main comparison you need to do is, as a whole, is AI Max working for you, rather than looking at individual search terms? And for that, we need to compare. We'll write to the bottom of the report and look for the words total filtered search terms. The filtered search terms are filtered. In other words, the filter was only AI Max search term. First thing I see is that there's only been 957 out of a total of almost 20,000. So only around 5% of the searches are AI Max. So if we turned it off, we wouldn't be losing a lot of traffic. Let's look at click-through rate. Click-through rate has been 4.45%. Now, if that seems low, don't worry about it. Low click-through rate doesn't cause suspensions in an ad grant anymore. It used to, doesn't anymore. And some organizations, particularly healthcare websites, they tend to get very low click-through rate when you run ads for them. 4.45% click-through rate for the AI Max terms, 5.25 for the campaign as a whole. So on average, AI Max terms have a lower click-through rate. They also have a lower cost per click. Conversion rate, 0.31% compared to 0.37% for the campaign as a whole. So what I'm saying here is they are slightly less likely to get clicked, and they are slightly less likely to convert, but they're a bit cheaper. And this difference isn't big enough for me to stop using AI Max. Well, what if I looked at this account and I found out that the click-through rate for AI Max was only half of what it was for the campaign as a whole? What if I found that the conversion rate was substantially lower? I would probably go back at campaign level and switch it off. I might first consider adding a few negatives, but if it's really not working out, I can probably do without it. It really can help with AI Max sometimes to increase the spend. Not so much on this account, but I've seen it be quite a high proportion on others. But the other thing I'd do before making that decision is just look at the actual search terms. I'd put this in order of impression. I'll look at them and I'll say, are these relevant? And are these things that we want to get people looking at the website for? If these are low priority, then I'd switch AI Max off. And for a comparison, I can always find out what the other terms are getting. And if I look at this, perhaps topics that we're slightly more interested in promoting is true. But I'm still going to keep on.